Welcome 1983 Jefferson nickel and quarter dollar from the United States has sparked significant attention among collectors and historians alike, primarily due to its historical context, rarity and high-grade conditions, and recent claims about its speculative value, which some sources exaggerate up to an astounding $83 million. While such figures are often used in sensational stories or attention-grabbing content, the truth behind these coins still makes for a compelling story. In particular, the 1983 dated Jefferson nickel and quarter hold a unique place in U.S. coinage history, mostly due to their production conditions and the broader economic environment of the time. In the early 1980s, the United States was recovering from a period of high inflation, economic uncertainty, and fluctuating metal prices. These pressures influenced the U.S. Mint to make several adjustments to coin production, including metal compositions and minting volumes. By 1982, the mint had already shifted from solid copper pennies to copper-plated zinc, and similar shifts were affecting other denominations. The year 1983 stands out not because the nickel underwent a composition change, it retained its standard alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel, but because of the way coins were minted and distributed during that year. Specifically, no mint sets were issued by the U.S. Mint in 1982 or 1983, making high-quality uncirculated coins from those years significantly harder to find. Most coins minted in 1983 were released directly into circulation, resulting in a higher degree of wear and damage from everyday use. That means collectors today find it extremely difficult to locate 1983 Jefferson nickels or quarter dollars in pristine condition, particularly those graded MS66 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. It's this scarcity of high-grade specimens that gives these coins their real-world value, sometimes reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their condition and mint mark. One of the key aspects to understand about the Jefferson nickel is its longevity. Introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, the Jefferson design remained largely unchanged for over 6 decades. Felix Schlag, the coin's designer, won a competition to redesign the 5-cent coin. His depiction of Thomas Jefferson's bust on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse became iconic. Over the years, various design tweaks were made, but the 1983 version still closely adhered to the original model. What makes 1983 particularly interesting is how economic decisions impacted coin production and subsequently, collectability. Quarter dollars from 1983 also share a similar story. The 1983 Washington quarter, especially those minted in Philadelphia without a mint mark, is considered one of the most elusive modern coins in high grade. As with the Jefferson nickel, the absence of mint sets meant the only way to obtain a 1983 quarter in mint state was to find one directly from circulation or from bank-wrapped rolls. Given how quickly circulated coins accumulate nicks, scratches, and general wear, the majority of surviving 1983 quarters today show significant signs of use, making those in mint condition exceptionally rare. This rarity has driven up the price of top-grade examples significantly. Some collectors have paid thousands of dollars for a single 1983 quarter in MS67 or higher. However, it's crucial to note that these values are not across the board. A typical 1983 quarter or nickel in circulated condition is still worth its face value, 25 cents or 5 cents respectively. The exaggerated figures like $83 million often circulate in online articles or video content meant to draw viewers with claims of extraordinary coin values. While these numbers are not accurate, they do point to a deeper truth, that under the right conditions, seemingly ordinary coins can be worth significant amounts of money. Another factor that adds to the mystique of the 1983 coins is the growing interest in error coins and varieties. During this era, the U.S. Mint struggled with quality control due to increased production demands and aging machinery. As a result, some 1983 nickels and quarters have been discovered with striking errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, and misaligned dies. These varieties often fetch premiums among collectors, especially if they are combined with high-grade surfaces. It's not uncommon for error coins from this year to sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction, the 1983 Jefferson nickel also serves as a symbol of America's resilience and adaptability. It was minted at a time when the country was undergoing technological, cultural, and economic transitions. The early 1980s saw the rise of computer technology, the Reagan administration's economic policies, and shifting global alliances. Amid these changes, the U.S. Mint continued its mission of producing coinage for commerce, ensuring stability in everyday transactions despite the turbulence of the times. The fact that a simple coin from such an era can now command the interest of historians, collectors, and investors is a testament to the importance of everyday objects in shaping our understanding of history. In the collector's market, the concept of face value versus collector value is often misunderstood. The face value of a 1983 Jefferson nickel is 5 cents, and that of the quarter is 25 cents. But when you factor in rarity, condition, historical context, and collector demand, these coins can attain a value that far exceeds what's printed on them. Still, jumping from 5 cents to $83 million is not realistic under normal collecting standards. The $83 million figure, though clearly exaggerated, may represent an imaginative metaphor for the coin's significance or a viral attempt to capture attention. Realistically, high-grade examples can be worth a few $1,000s, which is still impressive for a coin intended for everyday use. The practice of sensationalizing coin values isn't new. Many online sources amplify the potential worth of coins to draw attention, but educated collectors know to consult reputable grading services, auction results, and price guides to determine true market value. Coins like the 1983 Jefferson nickel or quarter achieve their true value not just from scarcity but also from the stories they tell, stories of economic recovery, technological challenges, and the persistence of the U.S. Mint during difficult years. Beyond the collector market, these coins are increasingly viewed as historical artifacts. Museums, private collectors, and historians sometimes include such pieces in exhibitions that explore American economic history. A high-grade 1983 Jefferson nickel might be featured alongside other coins from economically significant periods, emphasizing the role of small change in a nation's broader story. Their presence in such settings reinforces their value, not necessarily in dollars, but in the narrative they help construct. For those looking to collect 1983 Jefferson nickels or quarters, the best approach is patience and research. Finding these coins in high condition is a challenge, but not impossible. Searching through old rolls, checking with coin dealers, attending coin shows, and even participating in online auctions are all effective strategies. Collectors should also familiarize themselves with grading standards and learn how to identify errors and varieties. Building a collection around coins from years without mint sets, like 1982 and 1983, can offer both historical interest and the potential for strong future value. Ultimately, the story of the 1983 Jefferson nickel and quarter is one that blends economic history, minting practices, and the evolving world of numismatics. While the claim of an $83 million face value is clearly fictional or symbolic, it underscores the growing fascination with coins as both collectibles and historical documents. The real treasure lies in the discovery, learning, and storytelling that coin collecting invites. These small, metal discs connect generations, spark curiosity, and sometimes even change lives, if not through wealth, then certainly through knowledge and passion. If you're interested in learning more about coins that have surprising stories, histories, or values, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the fascinating world of numismatics. Next, 1973, the United States was in the midst of both political and cultural change. The Vietnam War was drawing to a close, and the Watergate scandal was beginning to unravel the presidency of Richard Nixon. It was a time of shifting values, both socially and economically, and the American Mint continued its mission to produce coinage that would serve a growing and changing population. Among the coins produced in that year was the Jefferson nickel, a coin that might seem common at first glance, but in the world of numismatics, has acquired a legendary reputation. The 1973 Jefferson nickel has become a coin of deep historical interest and financial allure, with some rare versions reportedly valued up to an astonishing $73 million. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel that had been in circulation since 1913. The new design featured a profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and principal author of the Declaration of Independence. On the reverse side of the coin, Jefferson's famous home, Monticello, was depicted. The design by artist Felix Schlag won a competition held by the U.S. Mint and quickly became an iconic piece of American currency. Schlag's artwork was a masterclass in subtlety and classical simplicity, capturing both Jefferson's legacy and the architectural grace of his estate. The year 1973 marked the 35th year of the Jefferson nickel's minting. Though this anniversary was not a major milestone in a traditional sense, it did coincide with significant events in the mint's production operations. During this time, the mint had to deal with increasing pressure on coin supplies due to economic fluctuations and shifting demands in commerce. Inflation was beginning to take hold in the United States, and the value of metals used in coins, such as copper and nickel, was under scrutiny. Most 1973 Jefferson nickels were minted at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with regular production and distribution. However, what sets the 1973 nickel apart in history and makes it a subject of fascination among collectors is not the standard version, but a few exceptional varieties and extremely rare errors that slipped through the mint's quality control processes. Over the decades, stories have circulated among coin enthusiasts about ultra-rare 1973 nickels that exhibit unusual die marks, off-center strikes, double dies, or are composed of unusual planchets. One such rumor involves a nickel that was struck on a silver planchet, making it appear different in weight and luster from standard nickels. These rare varieties are what drive the valuation of the 1973 Jefferson nickel into astronomical territory. While a standard circulated nickel from that year is worth its face value of 5 cents, an error coin or an exceptionally well-preserved specimen can sell for thousands or even millions. Among these, a single coin allegedly sold at a private auction for $73 million, a sum that seems unbelievable for a 5-cent coin. However, if that coin exhibits an extremely rare error or historical provenance, such as being part of a diplomatic presentation set or linked to a historical figure, it is not beyond imagination that a wealthy collector would pay that amount for such a piece of history. The world of rare coins is filled with such tales of dramatic valuations and unexpected discoveries. Often, coins that once passed unnoticed through daily transactions are later found in old collections, change jars, or estate sales, only to be revealed as numismatic treasures. The 1973 Jefferson nickel, in its rarest forms, fits into this tradition of surprise and revelation. Its value is not just in its rarity, but also in the story it tells, a story of American history, mint procedures, collector intrigue, and the evolving perception of value. Collectors have long speculated on the existence of proof versions of the 1973 Jefferson nickel that were never officially released to the public. Proof coins are special versions of coins, struck using polished dies and blanks, often for collectors or presentation purposes. They exhibit a mirror-like finish and sharp details, distinguishing them from business strike coins intended for general circulation. If such a 1973 proof nickel exists outside official sets, it would represent a significant deviation from mint policy, increasing its rarity and value exponentially. In the early 2000s, renewed interest in the 1973 Jefferson nickel emerged when a coin surfaced at a regional coin show that displayed unusual features. Experts initially dismissed it as a post-mint alteration, but further analysis revealed that the coin had characteristics consistent with a mint error, a double die reverse, showing signs of doubling in the Monticello lettering and steps. What intrigued numismatists the most was that the coin also had an off-metal composition, suggesting it had been struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin. Such errors are rare, and even rarer from the 1970s era, when the mint had tighter control processes than in earlier decades. Over time, more stories like this emerged, adding layers of mystery and value to the 1973 Jefferson nickel. Some collectors began specifically seeking rolls of 1,973 nickels from banks or estate collections, hoping to find one of these elusive specimens. Dealers started offering premiums for unsearched rolls, and grading agencies began to report an uptick in submissions of 1973 nickels, particularly those that showed potential error features. Although many turned out to be standard coins, a few high-grade examples in MS-67 and MS-68 condition earned 4- and 5-figure price tags at public auctions. One key reason behind the excitement is that nickels, unlike silver coins, have largely been overlooked in terms of high-value finds. Most collectors chase pennies, dimes, quarters, or silver dollars, believing them to hold more potential for major discoveries. But the 1973 Jefferson nickel challenges that assumption. It proves that even a modern-era 5-cent piece, in the right circumstances, can become a millionaire's coin. It also illustrates how numismatic value is not purely about metal content or age, but about rarity, condition, historical context, and collector interest. Stories continue to swirl about the provenance of the $73 million specimen. Some say it was once part of a secret collection owned by a foreign royal family. Others suggest it was discovered in a forgotten vault within the U.S. Treasury, preserved since the day it was minted. These tales may be apocryphal, but they underscore a fundamental truth in the world of collectible coins: value often intersects with legend. When a coin has both physical rarity and an extraordinary story, its worth can transcend logical monetary boundaries and enter the realm of historical and cultural treasure. There's also a sociological element to the popularity of coins like the 1973 Jefferson nickel. They are physical artifacts of a shared economic past, tangible reminders of everyday life that we often take for granted. When a coin from such a common denomination suddenly becomes famous or valuable, it captivates public attention. People begin checking their change, looking through old jars and piggy banks, imagining that they too might have a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. That kind of mass excitement fuels further value increases. Demand rises, auction prices go up, and soon, even rumors of a valuable variant can send collectors into a frenzy. For the 1973 nickel, this cycle has repeated over the years, leading to a kind of mythology around the coin. Forums, social media groups, and YouTube channels dedicated to coin collecting have kept the conversation alive, sharing images, comparisons, and theories about what makes a particular nickel from that year special. It's important to remember that not every 1973 Jefferson nickel is worth big money. In fact, the vast majority of them are still only worth their face value. However, that doesn't stop collectors and hopefuls from continuing the search. After all, the possibility of finding one of the rare and ultra-valuable specimens adds excitement and hope to what might otherwise be a mundane hobby. Professional coin grading services have also played a key role in legitimizing and publicizing the high values attached to certain 1973 nickels. When a coin is officially graded at a high mint state and authenticated as a rare error, it gains credibility in the market. Serious collectors are willing to pay more for verified coins, and this drives prices even higher. The coin that reportedly sold for $73 million was said to have been graded and authenticated by a top-tier agency, although the transaction itself was conducted privately. Whether or not every detail of the $73 million coin story can be confirmed, the fact remains that the 1973 Jefferson nickel has carved out a unique place in numismatic history. Its value is as much about the intrigue and possibility it represents as it is about the metal and minting errors. For those who love coins, it's a reminder that history lives in the small things, in pockets, in drawers, in the worn faces of everyday currency, and so, the legend of the 1973 Jefferson nickel continues to grow. With each passing year, it draws new collectors into the hobby, inspires new searches, and raises new questions. Could there be more rare specimens out there, still undiscovered? Could a simple 5-cent piece hold the key to an extraordinary financial windfall? Only time will tell. Thank you for taking the time to explore the incredible story of the 1973 Jefferson nickel with us. If you enjoyed this deep dive into numismatic history and the world of valuable coins, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new story about hidden treasures, historical coins, and the remarkable value. Next, 1972 Jefferson nickel is a fascinating piece of American coinage that continues to attract the interest of numismatists and collectors around the world. As one of the more quietly significant coins in U.S. history, the 1972 Jefferson nickel holds a unique place due to its historical context, subtle varieties, and intriguing market dynamics. While it might not immediately strike the casual observer as a rare or exceedingly valuable coin, deeper exploration into its variants, mintage background, and evolving demand in the collector's market reveals that this coin can indeed be worth far more than its face value. In fact, in the right condition and under the right circumstances, the 1972 Jefferson nickel can command extraordinary prices. This has led some sensationalized sources to associate it with an astronomical face value of $72 million in collector lore, not as a literal valuation, but as an emblematic expression of its perceived worth in rare cases and unique conditions. The Jefferson nickel series was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Named after the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, this 5-cent coin features his left-facing portrait on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag. The reverse of the coin showcases Jefferson's Virginia home, Monticello, also by Schlag. The design remained largely consistent for decades, making any variation or mint error in the series stand out to collectors. By the time 1972 arrived, the United States Mint had been producing the Jefferson nickel for over 3 decades, and though most years passed without major anomalies, 1972 proved to be an exception in a subtle yet important way. That year, the mint in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco struck the 1972 Jefferson nickel. Philadelphia struck the coins without a mint mark, while Denver and San Francisco used their respective D and S marks. While the total mintage numbers for the year were not particularly low, hundreds of millions were produced. The true rarity and allure of the 1972 Jefferson nickel lies in its varieties and the condition in which it is found today. Particularly, high-grade examples certified by third-party grading companies such as PCGS and NGC in grades like MS67 or higher can fetch significant prices. In the coin market, condition is king, and any Jefferson nickel from 1972 that survives in pristine mint state condition is instantly attractive to advanced collectors. Over time, certain varieties of the 1972 Jefferson nickel have gained attention. Some of the most valuable specimens are those that display full steps on Monticello. Known as full steps Jefferson nickels, these coins have clearly defined horizontal steps at the base of Monticello on the reverse. For a coin to qualify as having full steps, there must be 5 or 6 distinct and uninterrupted steps. Due to striking deficiencies, poor die maintenance, or weak planchets, most Jefferson nickels, even those struck in the 1970s, do not display full steps. Therefore, a 1972 nickel with sharp, well-defined full steps becomes a standout rarity. Collectors and investors look for these high-grade examples with full steps because they are significantly rarer than common business strike versions. A 1972 Jefferson nickel in MS66 or MS67 with full steps has commanded thousands of dollars at auction. In an environment where coin values can fluctuate based on collector interest, economic conditions, and historical relevance, some exaggerated appraisals and listings have emerged online, pushing the supposed value into tens of millions, such as the hyperbolic figure of $72 million. While this valuation is certainly more symbolic than literal, it captures the imagination of the public and fuels ongoing interest in searching for these hidden treasures in everyday pocket change. Beyond full steps, the 1972 Jefferson nickel also boasts some die varieties and errors that can significantly affect its value. These include doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and clipped planchets. A doubled die error, for instance, occurs when the coin's design is impressed more than once, but not in precise alignment, creating a doubling effect visible to the naked eye or under magnification. Such errors are relatively rare and highly prized by collectors for their uniqueness and the glimpse they offer into the minting process. Another factor adding to the allure of the 1972 Jefferson nickel is its placement within the broader cultural and economic landscape of the early 1970s. This period in American history was marked by rapid social change, economic uncertainty, and a shifting global order. From the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal to the oil crisis and the changing dynamics of the Cold War, the early 1970s were anything but tranquil. While the Jefferson nickel was a small, everyday object, it too was part of this historical moment. As coins are physical representations of their time, the 1972 Jefferson nickel has become a quiet witness to a turbulent era. What makes coins from this time particularly interesting to collectors is the combination of nostalgia and tangible history. Older collectors who lived through the 1970s may seek out coins from this period as a way of connecting with their past, while younger collectors may pursue these coins out of curiosity or as part of a broader historical inquiry. The 1972 Jefferson nickel, especially in high-grade or error form, serves as a bridge between generations and a reminder that even the smallest artifacts can carry great meaning. This coin's appeal is not just limited to its physical characteristics. The psychology of collecting plays a large role in elevating coins like the 1972 Jefferson nickel to near-mythical status. For many, coin collecting is not just a hobby but a pursuit of the rare and extraordinary. The dream of finding a valuable coin in circulation, in a jar of change, or tucked away in an old drawer is a powerful motivator. Tales of ordinary individuals stumbling upon rare and highly valuable coins continue to circulate in the news and on social media, fueling the collective desire to participate in this modern-day treasure hunt. The belief in the potential of such a coin to be worth tens of millions, whether accurate or exaggerated, adds to its mystique. This imagined value transforms the 1972 Jefferson nickel from a simple 5-cent piece into a symbol of possibility. For some, it becomes an emblem of luck, fortune, and the idea that extraordinary value can be hiding in plain sight. This is the essence of numismatic allure, not just the pursuit of history or knowledge, but the pursuit of wonder. As the popularity of coin collecting continues to grow, partly driven by social media, YouTube channels, and online marketplaces, interest in coins like the 1972 Jefferson nickel shows no signs of waning. In fact, the demand may be intensifying. Auction houses regularly report strong results for high-grade Jefferson nickels, and third-party graders see a steady flow of submissions from collectors hoping to strike gold. Whether motivated by curiosity, nostalgia, or the thrill of potential profit, collectors keep the market for these coins vibrant and dynamic. In this context, the idea of the 1972 Jefferson nickel having a $72 million face value is less about precise economic truth and more about the cultural and emotional weight the coin carries. It represents a story, a possibility, and a connection to American history that transcends its humble origins. The coin may not literally be worth $72 million, but its symbolic value is enormous. It reminds us that history is everywhere, even in our pockets, and that sometimes, the most unassuming objects hold the greatest stories. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone with a curiosity about coins, the 1972 Jefferson nickel offers a compelling case study in how a small piece of metal can carry immense significance. Its journey from a common 5-cent coin to a collector's treasure illustrates the enduring power of historical artifacts and the ever-evolving stories they tell. If you happen to come across a 1972 Jefferson nickel, take a closer look. It may not be the key to instant wealth, but it is certainly a gateway to a fascinating world of history, craftsmanship, and the enduring allure of discovery. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories from the world of coins and hidden treasures. Next, 1967 stands as a significant chapter in the rich numismatic history of the United States. It was a year shaped by political tension, social evolution, and widespread economic shifts, all of which subtly wove themselves into the fabric of American coinage. Among the coins minted in that era, the 1967 Jefferson nickel and the 1967 quarter dollar have emerged in modern times not only as pieces of change but as cultural time capsules. These coins, common in the pockets of Americans decades ago, now capture the attention of collectors and investors alike due to their historical significance, rarity in high-grade conditions, and increasing market values. In some sensational reports and collector folklore, their supposed face value in cultural importance and collector demand has been compared to figures as high as $67 million, a reflection of their status as icons of a bygone era rather than any inherent monetary feature. The Jefferson nickel, introduced in 1938, replaced the Buffalo nickel and quickly became a familiar sight in everyday commerce. Its design, created by Felix Schlag, featured a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Monticello estate on the reverse. The design remained consistent for many decades, becoming deeply associated with mid-20th century American identity. By the time 1967 arrived, the coin had already embedded itself in the collective American consciousness. Yet, 1967 was no ordinary year for American coinage. Just 2 years earlier, the U.S. had eliminated silver from dimes and quarters in 1965, and in response to widespread coin hoarding, the Treasury implemented changes that affected minting practices. These included the removal of mint marks and the suspension of proof sets from 1965 through 1967. As such, every 1967 coin was struck without a mint mark, whether it came from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. This policy change contributes significantly to the allure of 1967 coins today. Without a mint mark, there's an air of mystery and uniformity across the production line. For modern collectors, that nuance offers a special challenge, discerning subtle differences in strike, luster, and overall quality without relying on mint identification. This has led to a surge in interest in high-grade specimens from that year, particularly among Jefferson nickels, which were produced in substantial numbers yet are remarkably difficult to find in top condition. The quarter dollar from 1967 is another coin that has captivated the attention of the numismatic world. As part of the Washington Quarter series, the coin retained the well-known design featuring the profile of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle with outspread wings on the reverse. While millions of these coins were minted, their context in a transitional period of American coin production lends them an uncommon depth of character. No silver content, no mint marks, and mass production meant these coins were made to be spent and forgotten. Yet time has a funny way of changing how we value what was once mundane. Over the decades, collectors began to realize that while these coins were ubiquitous, finding examples that survived the wear and tear of circulation in pristine condition was a rare feat. It is in this context that certain individual coins, those graded at the highest levels, showing full steps on Jefferson's Monticello or full detail on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, began fetching impressive sums at auctions and private sales. These coins, while still technically pocket change, transcended their humble origins. Their scarcity and high-grade conditions turned them into artifacts, treasures hunted by collectors with a passion for perfection and historical preservation. But why the reference to $67 million? It's important to understand that the figure isn't literal in face value. No coin from 1967 was struck with that denomination. Instead, the number is symbolic, representing the perceived value among those who believe certain coins embody history, scarcity, and cultural importance to such an extent that they become priceless. In a world where digital currencies and credit transactions dominate, tangible currency from the past takes on new meaning. It's about nostalgia, the physical link to a time long gone, and the tangible connection to historical events. Every scratch on a 1967 coin tells a story. Each minting anomaly becomes a clue to the practices and priorities of the U.S. Mint during a tumultuous era. What further drives the allure of these coins is the emergence of error coins and rare variants. In 1967, the United States Mint was operating at high speed to meet public demand, and quality control standards sometimes slipped. As a result, a number of interesting and valuable error coins entered circulation. Among them were Jefferson nickels with off-center strikes, double die obverse or reverses, and even blank planchet strikes. Each of these errors makes a coin stand out dramatically from the norm, capturing the interest of collectors willing to pay a premium for a genuine minting mistake. These variants, while rare, add layers of fascination to a year already steeped in numismatic intrigue. A similar story exists for the 1967 Washington quarter. While millions were produced, it is the top-graded coins and those with dramatic errors that now command high prices. Coins with full details, mirror-like finishes, or extraordinary preservation have set auction records. For instance, quarters graded MS-67 or higher by reputable grading agencies like PCGS or NGC are incredibly rare and can sell for thousands of dollars depending on market demand. Add in an error or unique characteristic, and the value can soar, yet value in numismatics isn't always measured in dollars. The worth of a coin often lies in the story it tells, the hands it passed through, and the world events that framed its circulation. A 1967 Jefferson nickel or Washington quarter may have been in the pocket of someone attending an anti-war protest, paying for a movie ticket to a Beatles concert film, or used in a vending machine on a college campus where history was being made. These coins carry the aura of a turbulent and transformational time in American life: Vietnam, civil rights, space exploration, and social change. Holding such a coin connects one physically to that history in a way no document or photograph ever could. For those who grew up in the 1960s, finding a coin from 1967 can stir deep emotional memories. For younger generations, collecting coins from this era becomes a way to learn about the past, to hold a piece of it in their hand, and to engage in a hobby that combines treasure hunting with historical scholarship. This blend of emotional resonance and analytical intrigue is what makes coin collecting so enduring. The Jefferson nickels and Washington quarters from 1967 are emblematic of this experience. They're more than just metal discs, they're conversation pieces, historical relics, and in the most pristine cases, valuable assets. Today, as grading technologies improve and the numismatic community expands globally through online marketplaces and forums, interest in coins like these continues to grow. Collectors from all over the world are now able to trade, evaluate, and share information about their finds. This has led to a renaissance in coin collecting, where even coins minted in the millions are being re-evaluated based on their condition, rarity, and historical context. The 1967 Jefferson nickel and quarter are at the heart of this revival, offering both seasoned collectors and curious newcomers a gateway into a world of enduring fascination. The idea that these coins might one day be worth $67 million stems from the belief that history, rarity, and public interest have no ceiling when it comes to value. Just as fine art and rare manuscripts can sell for seemingly impossible sums, so too can coins when they are imbued with meaning and scarcity. Stories circulate of lucky individuals discovering forgotten rolls of 1967 nickels in an old drawer or receiving a nearly perfect quarter in their change at a gas station. These stories feed the dream of finding value where others see none, of uncovering hidden treasure in the most mundane of places. As with any collectible, the market can be fickle. Values rise and fall based on economic trends, cultural shifts, and new discoveries. But the one constant is the coin itself, the solid, unchanging artifact that has passed through countless hands, seen the rise and fall of institutions, and remains as a witness to history. The 1967 Jefferson nickel and quarter dollar endure because they are real, because they carry meaning, and because they invite us to look more closely at the world around us. Collectors are often asked what draws them to coins. The answer is rarely simple. For some, it's the thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of finding that perfect piece to complete a set. For others, it's the deep dive into history, learning about the economic, political, and cultural contexts that gave birth to each coin. And for many, it's the stories, the human stories, that coins tell. The 1967 nickel and quarter tell us about a nation in flux, a mint adjusting to new realities, and a people whose everyday lives were touched by these tiny works of art. So the next time you come across an old coin, take a moment to look more closely. Examine the date, the details, and the condition. You might just be holding a piece of the past that, while it may have been worth only a few cents in its day, carries with it a legacy that is truly priceless. And if that coin happens to be a 1967 Jefferson nickel or quarter dollar, know that you're not just holding currency, you're holding a piece of American history, and possibly, something of immense value in the eyes of the collecting world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the fascinating world. Next, 1979, a coin was struck that most Americans would have passed over without a second glance. It was ordinary, commonplace, and used every day for small purchases like candy, newspapers, or parking meters. It was the Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent coin that had been in circulation since 1938. And yet, decades later, this same coin from the year 1979 has become the focus of passionate collectors and coin experts. Why? Because certain examples of the 1979 Jefferson nickel are now believed to carry a face value in the collector's world of up to $79 million. This might sound like an exaggeration to the untrained ear, but for those familiar with the numismatic world, such valuations are tied not only to rarity and condition but also to historical significance and the compelling stories behind the minting process. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced as a replacement for the Buffalo nickel in 1938. Named after Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence, the coin features his portrait on the obverse and his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. While most Jefferson nickels are composed of a copper-nickel blend and are widely available in circulation, some years and mint marks have proven to be incredibly valuable over time due to minting errors, low production numbers, or unique characteristics. The year 1979 is one of the more mysterious and intriguing years in the entire Jefferson nickel series. While millions of these coins were minted, some collectors believe that there were a handful of coins produced that have very unusual traits. These could include double strikes, off-center prints, full steps on Monticello, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. Each of these traits contributes significantly to the coin's value. But the most legendary among them is the rumored 1979 Jefferson nickel prototype or presentation coin, supposedly minted in extremely limited numbers, perhaps even just one, as part of a test or experiment at the United States Mint. Such a coin, if it exists and is authenticated, would be truly priceless. What drives a Jefferson nickel from being pocket change to being worth millions? Several key factors play into this. Condition is paramount. Coins that are uncirculated, meaning they have never been used in everyday commerce, command the highest prices. These are graded by professional services on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. A 1979 Jefferson nickel that grades a perfect MS-70 could already be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. But if it also possesses a full step designation, where the steps leading up to Monticello on the reverse side of the coin are fully struck and clearly visible, its value skyrockets even further. Then there are errors. Mint errors can dramatically increase a coin's value. For the 1979 Jefferson nickel, some collectors report coins that have been double struck, meaning the coin was struck more than once in the minting process, leading to overlapping or shadowed designs. Others claim to have seen examples of the coin where the obverse or reverse is misaligned or missing entirely. Coins with planchet errors, where the metal blank used for striking the coin is the wrong composition or size, are also of great interest. A 1979 nickel struck on a dime planchet, for instance, would be an extraordinary find. Such errors are rare, but they do occur, often slipping past quality control and ending up in circulation, only to be discovered decades later by keen-eyed collectors or lucky individuals. Historical significance is another major factor. While the year 1979 does not mark a milestone in American history in the way that 1776 or 1945 might, it was a year of change. The United States was grappling with inflation, political upheaval, and technological advancement. The coinage of the time reflects the transitional mood of the country. It was also during the late 70s and early 80s that interest in coin collecting began to surge among the general public, spurred on by rising silver and gold prices. The notion of coins as both historical artifacts and potential investment vehicles took root. It's in this context that rare coins like the 1979 Jefferson nickel started to attract serious attention. Stories from collectors often add to the allure of coins. One such tale is of a man from Ohio who reportedly found a 1979 Jefferson nickel in his late grandfather's belongings. The coin was stored in a small, velvet-lined box, with a handwritten note saying it had been given to him by someone who worked at the mint. After years of neglect, the family took the coin to be appraised and discovered it was one of the few known full-step nickels from that year, in near-perfect condition. Its value was estimated at over $100,000. Another story involves a woman from California who bought a jar of old coins at a garage sale for $5 and ended up with a rare 1979 nickel with a dramatic die clash, an error that occurs when the dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind ghostly impressions. That coin later sold at auction for more than $75,000. These stories, while anecdotal, reflect the very real possibility that forgotten treasures are out there. And they feed the dreams of millions of collectors who search through their pocket change or visit estate sales and flea markets hoping to find the next $1,000,000 coin. The idea that a simple nickel, a 5-cent coin, could be worth more than a luxury car or even a mansion is part of what makes coin collecting so endlessly fascinating. Let's talk about the broader coin market. The numismatic industry is a dynamic and often unpredictable one. Prices rise and fall based on demand, availability, and economic conditions. Coins that were once undervalued can suddenly become hot commodities. The 1979 Jefferson nickel has benefited from this volatility. As new generations of collectors enter the market, they often look to complete entire series of coins. This means that even common dates can increase in value as more people seek them out. But the rare and unique versions of those coins, such as the elusive 1979-era nickels or the full-step specimens, become true trophies, the kind of coins collectors will pay enormous sums for just to complete their set. Grading agencies like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, play a vital role in this process. A coin authenticated and graded by these institutions carries much more weight in the market. A 1979 Jefferson nickel graded MS-67 with full steps by PCGS might sell for several $1,000s, while one graded MS-65 without full steps might be worth only a fraction of that. The jump in value between grades can be dramatic, emphasizing the importance of condition and the precision of the minting process. Let's not forget about provenance. If a coin has a documented history, for instance, if it was part of a famous collection or featured in a well-known publication, its value increases. A 1979 nickel that appeared in a landmark numismatic auction, or one owned by a famous collector, becomes more than just metal, it becomes part of a narrative, a symbol of cultural and historical continuity. Then there are speculative collectors and investors, those who buy coins not just for love of history, but as a hedge against inflation or as a long-term investment. These buyers help fuel high prices, especially for coins that are perceived as rare or undervalued. If rumors begin to swirl about a particularly rare version of the 1979 Jefferson nickel, prices can spike rapidly as investors rush to acquire whatever is available before prices rise further. All of these factors, condition, error types, historical significance, provenance, investor interest, converge to create the perfect storm that allows for a coin to be worth not just hundreds or thousands of dollars, but potentially millions. In the case of the most legendary and unique specimens of the 1979 Jefferson nickel, valuations reaching $79 million are whispered about among collectors with the same reverence usually reserved for lost treasures or priceless art. Is it likely that someone will find such a coin in their pocket change today? Probably not. But the beauty of coin collecting lies in the possibility. Every coin has a story, and some of those stories are worth fortunes. For every person who dismisses a nickel as spare change, there's another who sees it as a potential key to unlocking a forgotten piece of history, and let's not overlook the symbolic value. A coin is more than its metal content or monetary denomination. It represents a moment in time, the craftsmanship of the mint, the vision of the engraver, and the trust of a nation. The 1979 Jefferson nickel, in its rarest forms, is not just a 5-cent piece. It is a relic, a conversation starter, a hidden gem. Its journey from the mint floor to collectors' safes around the world reflects the larger American story, one of chance, opportunity, resilience, and reward. The face value of $79 million might seem outrageous, but for the right coin, at the right time, in the right condition, such values are not without precedent. Coins have sold for tens of millions in the past, and there's every reason to believe that the rarest of the 1979 Jefferson nickels could join that elite company under the right circumstances. If you've made it this far, you're probably fascinated by the world of coins and the mysteries they hold. The story of the 1979 Jefferson nickel reminds us that even the most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value. If you enjoyed this journey through coin history and discovery, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more fascinating insights into the hidden treasures that may be sitting in your pocket right now. Next, 1989, the realm of numismatics, where history is told through metal and mint. Few coins have stirred as much intrigue and speculation as those minted in the year 1989 in the United States. It was a year teetering on the edge of 2 decades, embodying both the spirit of the 1980s and the impending transition into the 1990s. The Jefferson nickel and the Washington quarter minted in 1989 not only hold significance in the realm of design and circulation but have also become central figures in some of the most fascinating coin valuation stories in American history. Today, the buzz around these coins extends beyond collectors and into popular culture, driven by stories of incredible values, some soaring as high as $89 million in estimated worth. These valuations, while not officially recorded as sales, are often rooted in speculation, rarity myths, and the allure of discovering a once ordinary item that could change one's financial fate forever. The Jefferson nickel of 1989 was, at first glance, just another standard issue. Minted with the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Monticello estate on the reverse, it was a coin used in daily commerce by millions of Americans. The coin was composed primarily of copper and nickel and bore no immediate signs of being unique. It was produced by the Philadelphia and Denver mints, both of which used their respective P and D mint marks. These coins were struck by the millions and flowed through vending machines, corner stores, and lunch money exchanges across the nation. Yet, as is often the case with coins, subtle variations and minting anomalies have led to some 1989 Jefferson nickels being catapulted into fame and staggering speculative valuations. These variations include double dies, off-center strikes, and die cracks, anomalies that result from misalignments, wear, or malfunctions in the minting machinery. In particular, certain double-die obverse examples of the 1989 Jefferson nickel have fetched significant attention from collectors. These are coins where the design appears to have been imprinted twice in slightly misaligned layers, resulting in noticeable doubling of features like the lettering or Jefferson's I. The rarity of such errors, especially when they are in excellent condition with minimal circulation wear, makes them exceptionally valuable in the collector's market. Moreover, a small number of proof-like specimens from the Denver Mint have been rumored to exist, though these are exceedingly rare and their authenticity remains debated among professional graders. These proof-like nickels have surfaces that are unusually reflective and detailed, suggesting either an accidental or experimental minting process. The mystique surrounding these few examples has only added fuel to the idea that one of these nickels, under the right conditions, could fetch astronomical prices at auction or through private sale. The Washington quarter minted in 1989 shares a similar story, though its narrative is enriched by the broader cultural and historical value placed on the quarter denomination in American coinage. The Washington quarter had been in circulation since 1932, originally issued to commemorate the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. By 1989, the design remained largely unchanged, with the enduring profile of the first U.S. president on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. Like the nickel, the 1989 quarter was produced in Philadelphia and Denver, and the total mintage exceeded 1 billion units. Still, among those billion, it's the few that went awry that became legends. Error coins from this year include off-metal strikes, where a quarter was mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for a dime or a nickel. These mistakes result in a coin that weighs differently and often lacks a full strike, with partial rims and incomplete designs. Collectors refer to these as wrong planchet errors, and when they occur on coins from the 1980s, an era generally seen as lacking in collectible excitement, they are all the more coveted. Even more captivating is the tale of a rumored 1989 Washington quarter struck in 90% silver, a composition not used for circulating quarters since 1964. While no confirmed specimen has been authenticated by the major grading services, the possibility alone has launched a fervent hunt among treasure seekers and hoarders. If such a coin does exist, it would have likely been struck using a leftover silver planchet that somehow made its way onto the mint floor, a mint error of mythical proportions. Stories about this possible silver 1989 quarter have led to speculative valuations reaching tens of millions of dollars, particularly when combined with other features such as pristine condition, deep cameo contrast, or proof-like surfaces. What drives these astronomical valuations, often whispered about at coin shows and online forums, is not just rarity but the idea of narrative. A coin with a story, an accidental silver quarter or a double-die nickel, becomes a character in a larger tale of American history, chance, and hidden wealth. The mystique of such coins is not just in their metallic content or mintage numbers but in their ability to symbolize the thrill of discovery. For collectors, owning one of these coins is akin to holding a secret, a fragment of history that slipped through the cracks of mass production to become one of a kind. Auction houses have reported escalating interest in these 1989 coins, with bidders willing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on verified error specimens. In one memorable case, a particularly well-preserved 1989 D. Jefferson nickel with a rare strike-through error, where a foreign object interfered with the minting process, leaving an imprint on the coin, sold for an unexpectedly high price, igniting a new wave of interest in that year's issue. These events ripple through the coin collecting community, inspiring others to comb through their change jars and coin rolls in search of overlooked treasures. The idea of an $89 million valuation for a 1989 coin, be it the Jefferson nickel or the Washington quarter, may seem fantastical, yet it embodies the speculative extremes of the numismatic world. These price tags often serve as symbolic markers, representing the coin's perceived historical importance, rarity, and collector desire rather than a confirmed market sale. Still, the buzz they create has real consequences, driving up demand, raising awareness, and reinvigorating interest in American coinage from the late 20th century. For many collectors, the journey of acquiring a 1989 coin is less about immediate wealth and more about the chase, the possibility, and the connection to a past era. The year 1989 was a transitional period. The Cold War was winding down, the Berlin Wall would soon fall, and the digital age was just beginning to take shape. Holding a coin from that year is to hold a snapshot of American life as it stood at the edge of transformation. That kind of context, when combined with rarity and mystery, elevates a coin from a simple monetary instrument to a cultural artifact. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC continue to play a critical role in this domain. Coins that receive high grades, particularly those labeled MS-67 or higher, can see their value skyrocket due to the quality premium. These services also authenticate error types, preventing counterfeits from misleading collectors. A 1989 coin authenticated with a major error and preserved in mint state condition represents a holy grail for enthusiasts, often becoming the centerpiece of private collections or museum exhibits. The influence of online marketplaces cannot be understated. Platforms like eBay and heritage auctions have allowed for a global collector base to engage with these coins, pushing demand and visibility even further. Listings for rare 1,989 nickels or quarters often attract thousands of views, and bidding wars can erupt in the final moments of an auction. It's not unusual to see a coin purchased for $51 year sell for over $10,000 a few years later. As trends and tastes evolve. As we move deeper into the 21st century, the nostalgia factor only increases. Younger generations, many of whom were born after 1989, now seek coins from that year as birthday year tokens or investments. They are drawn not only to the financial promise but to the story, a story of error, rarity, and historical coincidence. A simple piece of change, overlooked by most, could be the one worth a fortune, hiding in plain sight, and so the legend continues, fueled by whispers of the elusive $89 million coin. Whether rooted in fact, myth, or a combination of both, the value attributed to the 1989 Jefferson nickel and Washington quarter speaks to a broader human fascination with the hidden and the rare. These coins are no longer just legal tender, they are emblems of hope, curiosity, and the unrelenting belief that history sometimes leaves clues in the smallest of places. If you've enjoyed exploring the captivating history and potential worth of these incredible coins, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the treasures hidden in everyday change. You never know what might be sitting in your pocket, waiting to be discovered.